Hey guys, welcome back to Mr. Levy's Math Room. Now I trust that you have been practicing and practicing and practicing. Now remember, your end of year exams come up in just a few weeks, so you need to be practicing all the way back from September. Alright, so what we are going to be looking at in this session, we're going to continue looking at transposition of formulae. So transposition of formulae, and we're going to look at some of these formulas with the square root, alright? Somebody requested that we do these, alright, so for better understanding. So let's go. We have the first one, d is equal to the square root of 4h divided by 5. So d equals the square root of 4h divided by 5, and we want to make h the subject of the formula, alright? Now let's go. So we have, so let me press that. I'm going to rewrite this. So d equals the square root of 4h divided by 5. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to get rid of the square root symbol, the square root symbol. Now the opposite, okay, just look at this. So we have, let's say we have 25, the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is what? 5. Alright? Square root of 25 is 5. Now 5 squared is equal to the other one is equal to 25. 5 squared equals 25. The square root of 5 is the square root of 25, sorry, is 5. Now the opposite of this. The opposite of the square root is the square. Alright, so if I square this, then I get rid of the square root sign. So if I square this, I get rid of the square root sign. And if I square this, then I must also square d. Alright? So let's write. So we need to square both sides to get rid of the square root sign. So we square both sides. Alright? So we perform the opposite. Alright, so the opposite of this is square. Square it. So if I square it, then I get rid of it. Alright? So we now end up with d squared equals all of this 4h divided by 5 all squared. Alright? Now this should get rid of the square root sign. So I'm now left with b squared equal 4h divided by 5. Alright? So remember, to get rid of the square root, we are going to square it, right? So we square it and we get rid of the square root sign. Whatever we do to one side, we must also do it to the other side. Alright? Now we need to get, since we want to make h the subject of the formula, we need to get rid of this 5. So we have 4 times h divided by 5. To undo division, we must multiply. Very good. So we're going to multiply both sides of the equation, or this formula here, by 5. Right? So let's put that here. I'm just going to write it to the side. So put to the bottom then. Multiply MULTIPLY both sides by 5. Right? So if I multiply both sides by 5, I'm going to get 5 times d squared equals 4h divided by 5 times 5. Now the 5 is cancelled. We're left here now with say 5d squared equals 4h. We want to make what is the subject? We want to make h the subject of the formula. And so we are going to get rid of this 4. Now we have 4 times h. Right? Now to undo multiplication, we must divide. Very good. So we are going to divide both sides by 4. So divide both sides by 4. So that will give us 5d squared divided by 4 equals 4h divided by 4. Alright, the 4 is cancelled. So we're left with h equal 5d squared over 4. Alright, so that's what we have. So let's go from the top. So we have, this is the formula that we want to change the subject for to make the subject h. We write, so we're going to square both sides, right, of the equation. Right? Now, the reason we're squaring both sides is to do what? To get rid of the square root sign. Right? But we can't move anything from under the square root sign as is. We have to move it before we can start moving around any of the terms under it. Right? So we must get rid of it. It forms a barrier. So we get rid of it by performing its opposite operation, and that would be to square it. Right? So if I square this, I must also square this. So we say square both sides. If I square it, then I automatically get rid of it. Right? So we now have d squared equals 4h divided by 5. We need to get to this h. So first we must get rid of the denominator. Right? To get rid of this denominator here, it's dividing, so we must multiply. And so we multiply both sides by 5. Alright? Then we have that here. The 5 is cancelled. We are left with 4h, or 4 times h. To undo multiplication, we must divide. And so, because we want to make h a subject, we want to isolate it, to have it on this side by itself. So we divide both sides by 4, and there we have it. So h is equal to 5d squared divided by 4. Alright? Okay, now let's move to the next question. Okay, so we have, can we see that? Yes, we can. So we have p, I'm going to rewrite that. P equals the square root of vt plus 5. Right? So the first thing we're going to do is to get rid of the square root sign by doing what? By squaring both sides. Right? So let's write that. So we write it with my red ink. So square both sides. Right? So if I square both sides, I now have p squared equals all of this v times t plus 5 all squared. Right? Now this now get rid of that. The square there get rid of the square root sign. So I'm left with p squared equals vt plus 5. Good? Then we know we want to get to v, we must get rid of this plus 5. To undo this plus 5, we must, to undo that plus 5, we must do what? We must subtract this 5. So we subtract 5 from both sides. Alright? So let's do that. So we say we subtract 5 from both sides. Right? So let's do that. So we'll have p squared minus 5 equals v times t plus 5 minus 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. We're left with vt on that side equals p squared minus 5. Now we want to get to v, so we must get rid of the t. Right? We want to get to v, I'm rhyming there, so we must get rid of the t. Okay? Good. So let's do that. So we are going to do what? We are going to divide both sides by t. So we say we divide both sides by t. Good? So let's do that. So we have now p squared minus 5 divided by t equals v times t divided by t. T is cancelled, so we're left with v equals p squared minus 5 over t. Alright? And there we have it. Okay? Let's do one more. And then we can call it a day. Alright? Or an evening if you want to call it that. Alright, so let's erase this. Okay. Let me see what we have here. So we can do hold on. So we have w equals the square root of x over k. We want to make x the subject, right? We want to make x the subject. So first of all, again, we're going to get rid of the square root sign by doing what? By squaring both sides, right? So remember, to get rid of the square root symbol, we square, right? So we square both sides. So we have w squared equals square root x over k, all of that squared. We now get what? W squared equals x divided by k. We want to make x the subject, so we must get rid of k. This is now saying x divided by k. To undo division, we must multiply. And we say whatever we do to one side, we must also do it to the other side. Alright, and so we are going to multiply both sides by k. Yes, so multiply both sides by k. So that will give us what? K times w squared equals x divided by k times k. The k's cancel. We have x equals kw squared. Alright? So x equals kw squared. So what you have to remember is when you are working with a square root, to undo the square root or to get rid of the square root sign, you must square it, right? And whatever you do to one side, you must also do to the other side. Alright? Good. Now let's do one more. So let's erase this. Okay, now let's work on this. So S okay, now let's work on this one. We have s equals x squared minus 3. Right? In this we do not have a square root sign, but then you're going to see where we're going to get to, right? Because you'll see. So the first thing we need to do here is to do what? To add add 3 to both sides to get rid of this minus 3. We want to make x the subject. So we add 3 to both sides. And that will give us s plus 3 equals x squared minus 3 plus 3. Now these two cancel each other, so we call it the additive inverse. So negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So we are left with s plus 3 equals x squared. Alright? Now here we want to make x a subject, not x squared, so we're not finished yet. Alright? So we must get rid of this square. Now how do we get rid of that? Now we must do what? We must do the opposite of that, which is to do what? To find the square root. Very good. Good. So we are going to take the square root. So we take take the square root of both sides. Right? So we now have the square root of x plus 3 equals the square root of x squared. Right? Now the square root of x squared would be x equals the square root of s plus 3. Right? Now notice that this is basically the opposite of what we did over here. Right? So to undo the square root sign, we squared it. To undo the square, we find the square root. To undo this, the square, we find the square root. Right? So notice the difference. To undo the square root, we square it. To undo the square, we find the square root. Right? So that's the opposite. Good. Now let's do another one of that. Let's erase it. Let's erase it. This one. Let's take. Okay, so we have A equals pi times x squared. We want to make x the subject. Alright? So we must first get rid of the pi. Now this is a pi times x squared. To undo multiplication again, we do what? We divide. Very good. So we say we divide both sides by pi. Alright? And then, so that will give us what? A divided by pi equals pi x squared divided by pi. Good? So the pi's cancel each other. We're left with what? X squared equals A divided by pi. Good? Now we're not finished. We need to get rid of the square root sign because what we want to make the subject x. Good? So we are going to take the square root, take the square root of both sides. Alright? So now that will give us the square root of A over pi equals square root of x squared. The square root of x squared will give us x equals the square root of A over pi. And there you have it. Alright? So you can make some questions for yourself and you can practice them, or I could write some on here and you can just practice them on your own. And we say practice makes perfect. Alright, so you need to practice, 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 practice. So these are for you. So P equals the square root of 3 3t minus m for t. You want to make t the subject. 2 A equals the square root of m over 4 m 3 So just work these on your own. you can put your answers in the comment section. So you can work on them, put your answers in the comment section, and then you can look at them. Alright? And then one more. So R equals TV for T. Right? So just work on those and work on them. Leave your answers in the comment. You can just put the answers only, and then we can determine if you are correct. Right? As usual, I encourage you to, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, you can just subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you never miss another session. Alright, and share it with your friends. Alright, just share with your friends. Okay, so you enjoy your break, and during your break, ensure that you get some work in. Alright, you have a few days, alright, and you have just a few weeks before your exams, and so you need to practice. So see you next week. Peace out. Blessings.